Hi everyone, and welcome to my fall series for 2023. This is the second episode. If you missed the previous episode, I'll have the playlist link in my description box below. In today's video, I'm bringing you 4 different wreath ideas made using supplies from Dollar Tree. I hope you find tons of inspiration and enjoy today's projects. For this project, we are using one of Dollar Tree's 14-inch wire wreath forms, as well as a roll of their burlap. Start on the back side of your wreath form. You do not even need to secure it down with any glue yet. Just hold it tightly as you wrap it around the wreath form. You want to wrap it around about halfway of each piece of burlap until you get the entire wreath form covered. This should only take one roll of burlap. However, I had an open pack, so I started using that pack, and I did run out before I got to the very end. I did secure the end of that with some hot glue. Make sure you do that on the back side so that you don't see it. Then you can start your new roll and continue to wrap it until you have the wreath form covered. Secure that last piece with some hot glue, and this will hold the original piece that you started with. Once you cut your excess burlap off, flip it back over so that the front is now facing you. I'm decorating this with some gorgeous pumpkin maple bushes from Dollar Tree. They have 2 miniature pumpkins as well as some berries. You may want to look over your picks before you buy them because a couple of mine did not have the berries on there. I guess they fell off. We're going to cut each of the stems from the bundles. For each of the picks with the pumpkins, I'm going to push the leaves upwards and then bend the pumpkin so that when I apply it to the wreath, it will sit up like this. I'm starting off with one set of leaves. You can pull the stems out of these and attach just the 2 leaves. I do find later on that it's just easier to cut the stems down shorter. They'll sit in there better. You can tuck these into where the ribbon overlaps and then secure it with a little bit of hot glue. I started off the first one with 2 of the leaves, then I add in my pumpkin stem, making the leaves on that stem have the colors on the opposite sides. Add a little bit of hot glue and push the ribbon down around the stem. Then we'll go to the next section where the ribbon overlaps and add in a couple of leaves. As I go through this, I'm going to twist the leaves around and make sure that they are kind of intertwined with each other. For each section of the wreath form, I'm adding a stem with 2 leaves, a stem with the pumpkin and 2 leaves, then a stem with 2 sets of 2 leaves, and I'll add another set with the pumpkin and 2 leaves. Then the stem with the berries. Now, if yours comes to a section where it doesn't overlap like mine did, where I had to add that extra burlap ribbon, the burlap is very forgiving. You can just push your stem directly through and add a little bit of hot glue to make sure it stays in place. This one section here is one of the Dollar Tree bundles. I did use 6 bundles in total. You'll continue to create your pattern until you have all of your bundles attached to your wreath form. Then go back in and twist and fluff out all of your leaves, and I used that 7th bundle if I saw any bare spots that I thought needed some more leaves or any extra pumpkins. I love the pastel colors in this wreath, and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. Today's video is part of the Shades of Fall collaboration with my dear friend Ray at One Way Designs 238. The playlist link will be in the description box below. This is an open collaboration where several different video creators are able to add their videos to the link. When you're finished watching my video, I hope you'll click on that playlist to watch all of the creative fall projects that everyone has created. For this project, we are using a plastic charger in the shape of a pumpkin. I've had this one in my stash for a couple of years, and I think it came from Family Dollar for $1. I'm giving it a coat of black chalk paint, and as I was painting, I decided to add a piece of floral styrofoam in the center because I know that I want to add some florals later on in the project. I'm going to continue to paint the top part of this charger as well as the floral foam with the black chalk paint to help blend it in a little better. Once that dries, I'm going to flip this over and create a hanger on the back using some hot glue, jute twine, and a couple of pieces of ribbon. I'm just going to place that ribbon over there to make sure my twine does not come loose. Then we're going to flip it back over. We're going to take some of Dollar Tree's nautical rope and hot glue this around the edges of the charger. I find that it is easier to work in small sections and hold the rope in place until the hot glue sets, and this will really take the shape of this pumpkin and give it a more defined and elevated look. Once we glue that last piece on, I realized that some of my chalk paint was chipping off, so I touched that up, and once it dried, I took some Mod Podge to seal this in. So if you recreate this, it would be much easier to Mod Podge over the paint before you add your nautical rope on. I did make sure I kept all of my strokes going outwards so that it would have the texture of a real pumpkin. Now we're going to decorate it with some Dollar Tree florals. This is a maple bouquet, and I'm going to cut those stems from the bundle and add them on the opposite corners of each other. So just kind of filling in some of those green leaves around some of those burnt orange burgundy leaves. We're also going to use some of Dollar Tree's eucalyptus as well as some of their multicolored, I believe these are like wheat stems. I'm going to add in a few of these to give it some extra height, and I'm going to add those on the corners as well as some of those sides. Then we can add in some of our eucalyptus until we get the fullness that we want. Then I want to create a bow to go in the center. I'm using some of Dollar Tree's floral mesh ribbon. They have these in several different colors, and they were in the nautical section over the summer. I'm going to cut down 3 strips of these and lay them in a crisscross pattern and lay this over top of some twine. Then I'm going to take this beautiful orange ribbon. This came from Dollar General. And we're going to cut this down to about 13 inches and dovetail each end. So you will need to cut 2 of these orange ribbons. And we're also going to use some of this beautiful ribbon from Walmart. And this is the 2.5-inch ribbon. We're going to cut that down to about 13 inches as well. And we will dovetail both ends of that, and you'll need 2 pieces of those. So now I'm going to crisscross my orange ribbon over top of that floral mesh and then do the same thing with the leaf ribbon. Then I can wrap my twine around it, and the key thing here is to pull it very, very tightly so it bunches together in the middle, and then double knot it. Then I'm going to flip this over and double knot it again in the back. Then I can add this right on top of my floral foam using some hot glue. And then I want to add in a few of these gorgeous sunflowers from Dollar Tree. I cut the stems off the bundle, and I decided to add the yellow in the center and an orange one on each side. And then I had a few of these little mixed picks from Dollar Tree. I believe these came off of a pumpkin last year. These have the berries, and I'm going to add one at the top and one at the bottom. And I absolutely love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. This project was inspired by this beautiful metal sign from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the hanger. I don't need it on this project. And I'm going to pull some of those colors out. I'm going to be using brown oxide that's going to match the trim. And then celery will go really well with our leaves. And then I'm using a spiced pumpkin. We're going to be making a clothespin wreath. You can get a 36 count clothespin pack from Dollar Tree We will need 48 for this project. I find that it is easier to leave them on the cardboard to paint them. I am not going to go for a full coverage paint. I want mine to have a little bit of a rustic look to it. So I'm only going to paint the tops and then the top part of the back of the clothespin as well as the sides. I want some of that bare wood to peek through. So I am painting 16 in the brown, 16 in the spiced pumpkin, and 16 in the celery. We're also going to be using one of these brass wreath rings from Dollar Tree. They come in a set of 3. We're going to use the smallest one for this. Take a piece of twine and double knot it on each end to create a hanger. And just depending on how long you want your hanger as to how long you cut your twine. Make sure to cut your excess ends off. Now that the paint is dry on our clothespins, we can add these to the ring. I'm adding it to the smallest hole, which is closest to the pin in the middle. I'm adding mine in the pattern of brown, pumpkin, and then celery. I'm going to continue to do this. When I get to the hanger, I'm just going to make sure that I push it very tightly between the 2 clothespins so that when you hang it up, it's going to go in between the middle of those clothespins and you'll barely see it. Continue to do this pattern until you have all of your clothespins on your ring. Now I did have 3 left over, so technically it only takes 48 clothespins for that small ring. I'm going to trim down that raffia bow and then hot glue one piece just to kind of cover up those holes and blend them in so they won't be as noticeable. And then to add the sign to the front of our clothespin wreath, I'm using some E6000 and hot glue. I do recommend that you clamp this and let that E6000 set up. Or in my case, I set a piece of wax paper down and then set something heavy on top of it to make sure I had a good bond to those clothespins. You guys let me know what you think of project number 3. I think it turned out absolutely gorgeous. This next project is one of my favorites. We're using one of Dollar Tree's floral foams. This is about 7.5 inches, and you're going to need a wire coat hanger. I started by cutting mine in half, and then you'll want to straighten those 2 pieces out as best as you can. I did find that using a pair of pliers helps a lot. Then you can take your pliers and loop the top part over until it almost closes, but not quite. Then trim those end pieces down so that we can insert this wire hanger into the back part of our floral foam. So you want it to sit closer to the back. This is how we're going to hang our teardrop wreath up. Then I'm starting off with 3 hop bush bundles from Dollar Tree. All of the florals in this are from Dollar Tree. I'm using one of the green ones. I'm going to trim that down so that I can put this directly in the center at the bottom with the longest point coming out towards the bottom. I'm going to cut each of the stems off of the orange bundles and place one bundle on each side of the green hot bush. Using some yellow sunflowers, I'm going to place 3 on each side or right above those orange ones, and take another green hot bush to fill in right in the middle and up towards the top. We are going to leave a space there in our floral foam for a bow later on. Now I'm using some wildflowers, 2 sets of yellow and 1 set of orange. I'm going to cut just a little bit off of the bundle for the orange and insert the entire bundle right in front of our hanger at the top. And then I'll cut the yellow ones off so that I can place a bundle on each side. So we're trying to create an upside down triangle. You want it to be fuller at the top and then get skinnier as it goes down towards the bottom. Using another bundle of the green hot bush, I'm going to add this to the top to create some more fullness. And I'm using 2 bundles of Dollar Tree's bittersweets. This is going to give us some height on each side. To fill in right at the top, I'm using some mini mums. And I'll add another bundle separated on each side. Up towards the top, it still looks a little bare, so I'm going to take another hot bush. This one is in the yellow color, so we've already used the green and orange. And I'm going to place these to fill in right beside and in front of some of those bittersweets. Now we're going to create a bow to go right in the center on the top of our floral foam. We're using some of that same ribbon we used in the previous project. One came from Walmart and the orange came from Dollar General. We're going to use a zip tie and then a stem off of a floral pick. We're just going to bend that in half. This is how we're going to attach our bow to our floral foam. I'm just going to leave a little bit of length for the tail, and then I'm going to create a loop, pinch that in the middle, and then I'll bring my ribbon around and create another loop. This would be much easier if it was not on the roll, but when I was making the bow, I wasn't sure how many loops I wanted, so I did keep it on the roll. I end up making 4 loops and then leaving another length for the tail on the opposite side. I'm going to hold this together with one of those Dollar Tree clips so that I can create the bow using the orange ribbon. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller and make the tails a little bit smaller. I'm going to create 4 loops just like I did with the previous bow and leave 2 tails. Then we can add this to the top of our larger bow. We're going to hold everything together and we're going to attach the 2 using that zip tie. Now before you close your zip tie up in the back, make sure to insert your floral stem and have the 2 ends pointing away from the back of the bow. Then tighten up your zip tie and cut that excess off. Now, once I have that done, I want to cover up the zip tie, so I'm going to take a piece of ribbon and glue it into thirds so that I can wrap this around my bow and then glue it down in between that floral stem. Once I have mine done, it was not as full as I wanted it to be. So I end up taking some more of that leaf ribbon that came from Walmart, and I'm going to create a loop with a tail. So I'll create 2 of those to create a larger bow to kind of fill in the back of this one. So I'm just going to take those 2 pieces that I created, the loops with the tails, and tie those together with some twine. Then attach this to the back of my bow and wrap the twine around and double knot it on the back. So once I'm done with that, I decided I wanted to dovetail all of the tails for the bow. So I'll do that and make sure that I pull all of my loops apart and fluff my bow out. Now we can attach it to our floral foam with that stem, and you can add a little bit of glue if you want to, just for some added security. Make sure to fluff that bow out again. Now on the back, if you have a few stems that are sticking out, cut those down with your wire cutters. And then I chose to cover the back of that floral foam with some tape because it kind of comes apart and I don't want that to come apart on my door. But if you don't want to use tape, you could use some fabric or some ribbon. I hope you enjoyed today's projects, and if you have a favorite, let me know in the comments section down below. I always love to know which one is your favorite. Don't forget to check out the playlist to see all the beautiful fall creations that everyone has made and added to the playlist. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please take care, and I'll see you guys next time.